Imagine you're in a room filled with smoke. At first, it's barely noticeable. A light haze curling in the corners, so thin you think you might just be imagining it. But slowly, it thickens. You start coughing, blinking hard, trying to see clearly, and then you realize you can't even remember when it started. That's what gaslighting feels like. It's not a single obvious event, it's a slow war on your reality. And the most dangerous part? By the time you notice what's happening, you've already been breathing in the poison for far too long. Gaslighting is not just lying. It's a psychological chess game where the other person isn't trying to convince you of their truth. They're trying to erase yours. It's the subtle shake of the head when you recall something important. The gentle laugh as they say, "You're imagining things." The perfectly timed sigh followed by, "You're too sensitive." One phrase at a time, they chip away at your trust in yourself until you start to wonder if you've been wrong about everything. It often starts small. Maybe you tell them something upset you, and they respond, "That never happened." You remember the exact words, the exact moment, but they're so confident in their denial, you feel a twinge of doubt. That's the seed. And like all seeds, it grows when it's watered. Only in this case, it's watered by repeated manipulation, each drop blurring the line between your reality and theirs. The reason gaslighting works so well is that it doesn't come all at once. If someone walked into your life and immediately rewrote your entire reality, you'd fight back. But gaslighting is patient. It's a steady drip, a rearranging of facts so small you don't notice until you're standing in a version of reality you didn't create. And because the changes are gradual, you don't even see the cage being built around you. Sometimes gaslighters aren't even fully conscious of the damage they're doing. Some have learned this behavior through years of manipulation themselves. Others use it as a deliberate tactic of control. Either way, the result is the same. You start questioning your memory, your instincts, your sanity. And when that happens, they've already won half the battle. Think about it. If they can make you doubt what you've seen with your own eyes, they can make you believe anything. That's why gaslighting is so dangerous. It's not just a tool of toxic relationships. It's been used in politics, cults, workplaces, even in families to keep power firmly in the hands of the manipulator. It works because it doesn't just attack what you think, it attacks the way you think. You might start noticing patterns. Every disagreement ends with you apologizing, even when you're not wrong. Every memory you bring up is met with, "That's not how it happened." They rewrite the story so convincingly, you wonder if you've been living in a dream. And the more you doubt yourself, the more you lean on them for what's true. This is where the real control begins, because once they're your primary source of reality, they own the narrative of your life. Gaslighters often hide behind charm. They might be warm, funny, or deeply affectionate in between their denials and distortions. This keeps you hooked, because every time you start to pull away, they remind you of the version of them you first fell for. They create a push and pull dynamic that keeps you from finding solid ground. And because you still have moments where things feel good, you tell yourself it can't really be that bad. But good moments don't erase bad patterns. They just make them harder to leave. Here's something you need to know. Gaslighting thrives on emotional exhaustion. The more drained you are, the less likely you are to fight back. That's why they create constant little battles about where you went last week, what someone said, whether you remembered something correctly. Each argument feels small on its own, but together, they create a state of mental fatigue where it's easier to just agree than to resist. The manipulation isn't always obvious. Sometimes it's wrapped in concern. "You've been so forgetful lately. Are you okay?" Or disguised as advice, "You always misread situations. Let me explain what really happened." These statements are designed to sound helpful, but they plant the idea that you can't trust yourself. And once that idea takes root, the gaslighter's job gets much easier. It's important to understand that gaslighting isn't just about controlling you. It's about protecting themselves. Gaslighters often can't handle being wrong, exposed, or seen as flawed. They'll twist the truth to avoid accountability, even if it means destroying your sense of reality in the process. In their mind, maintaining the image they've built is worth more than your trust, your peace, or even your mental stability. But here's the thing. The moment you start noticing the patterns, their grip begins to weaken. Awareness is the one thing gaslighting can't survive. In when you know the tactics, denial, contradiction, blame shifting, rewriting history, you start to see through the smoke. You realize the problem isn't your memory, it's their manipulation. Escaping gaslighting isn't just about walking away. It's about rebuilding your relationship with yourself. It's about trusting your instincts again, listening to your gut, and holding on to your version of events even when someone tries to erase them. It means learning to spot the early signs before they can take root. If someone constantly dismisses your feelings, denies things you know happened, or tries to make you question your sanity, it's not overreacting to protect yourself. It's survival. And maybe you're thinking, but what if they're right? What if I really am too sensitive, too forgetful, too emotional? That's exactly the trap gaslighting sets. It makes you internalize their criticism until you become your own manipulator, second-guessing yourself before they even have to say a word. Breaking free means refusing to be both the prisoner and the guard in your own mind. Sometimes you can't confront a gaslighter directly. Calling them out often leads to more denial, more twisting of your words. In many cases, the safest approach is to quietly document events, confide in people you trust, and plan your exit. Because while confrontation can feel satisfying in theory, with a skilled manipulator, it often becomes just another opportunity for them to rewrite the story. Healing from gaslighting takes time. The mental fog doesn't lift overnight, but each time you choose your truth over their version, each time you refuse to apologize for something you didn't do, each time you trust your gut instead of their narrative, you reclaim a piece of yourself they tried to take. And eventually, those pieces add up to a person they can't control anymore. And now, here's the part that will stay with you. Gaslighters don't just target the weak, they target the strong. They go after people with light in them, people with empathy, people who see the best in others. Because they know if they can bend those people to their will, it's the ultimate proof of their control. So if you've been gaslit, it doesn't mean you're broken. It means you had something they wanted to own, but they can't own it anymore. Maybe you're still in the middle of it. Maybe you're just starting to realize something is wrong. Or maybe you've been out of it for years, but the echoes still haunt you. Wherever you are, remember this. Your reality is yours. It's not up for negotiation. And the moment you stop giving someone else the power to define it, you become untouchable. Because when you see the smoke for what it is, you don't keep breathing it in. You find the way out, and you never, ever walk back in. Maybe right now you're wondering, if I've been through gaslighting, what does healing actually look like? What if the damage has already been done? The truth is, gaslighting doesn't just make you doubt someone. It makes you doubt yourself. It rewires the way you trust your own eyes, your own memory, your own voice. And when you've lived inside that fog for long enough, even freedom can feel disorienting. But here's the part they don't want you to know, because this is the part that breaks the hold they've had over you. That fog, it doesn't last forever. The same mind that they tried to turn against you can learn to become your most unshakable ally. It's not about going back to the person you were before they twisted the truth. It's about becoming someone stronger than they ever imagined you could be. Think about this. Every time they made you question your worth, they were teaching you exactly how not to treat someone. Every time they denied what you knew was real, they were training you to spot lies before they even fully take shape. Every attempt to make you feel small, that was an unintentional gift, because it woke up a part of you that refuses to shrink again. But here's the real warning. Gaslighting doesn't always come from obvious villains. Sometimes it's dressed in charm. Sometimes it's wrapped in love. Sometimes it comes from people who swear they would never hurt you. That's why knowing the signs isn't just about protecting yourself from one toxic person. It's about protecting your future from ever being rewritten by someone else's version of reality. If you take nothing else from this, remember, your memory is not faulty just because someone says it is. Your feelings are not overreactions just because someone labels them that way. Your truth is not up for negotiation. Gaslighters thrive on one thing: silence. When you stop second-guessing yourself and start calling the truth by its name, you take away the oxygen that keeps their manipulation alive. And yes, I know. Walking away doesn't erase the scars, It doesn't instantly fix the mental echo of their words. But one day, you'll notice the silence is no longer heavy. It's peaceful. You'll notice you can make decisions without that lingering fear of, what if I'm wrong? You'll see that the world looks sharper, more in focus, because you're finally seeing it with your own eyes again, not through the distorted lens they forced on you. And when that day comes, you won't just feel free, you'll feel untouchable. Not because you've built walls so high no one can reach you, but because you now carry the kind of clarity that manipulation can't survive in. Gaslighters prey on confusion, and you've learned to live in certainty. So if you've been through this, or if you're in it now, know this: you are not overreacting, you are not imagining it, and you are not alone. You don't have to fight every battle in the moment to win the war. Sometimes the greatest victory is simply refusing to let someone rewrite your truth. The question is, now that you see the signs, what will you do next time? Will you freeze, trying to win their approval? Or will you smile to yourself, knowing you've already seen this game, and you don't play anymore? Because the moment you recognize manipulation, it loses its power. The moment you trust your own mind over someone else's story, you stop being an easy target. And the moment you choose clarity over chaos, you don't just survive gaslighting, you destroy it. And maybe, just maybe, you'll be the voice that helps someone else see through their fog too.